Hello and welcome to
Hey, we like your pod.
And we're going to tell you why. Hi, it's Dawn here, joined by my trusted partner, Matt Pickett, and our very special guest today is M.K. Burgess.
Woohoo!
Hello, I'm so happy to be on here. Thank you guys so much.
You're very welcome. Welcome to our podcast. It's super nice to meet you and to be able to chat with you today. We're delighted to get to know MK. If you don't know it, as Matt likes to say, what the heck are you doing?
What are you doing?
What are you doing? MK is Packers local beat reporter and analyst for CBS WFRV, CBS Local 5 in Green Bay, their local sports network. But before we get to football and your special role in sports journalism, how you doing this week, MK?
I'm doing really, really well, Dawn. It's been a long, tough week as, trying to cover Packers training camp, figuring out who is kind of on the bubble, who's not, and then, watching the team get ready for their first preseason game. It's been a long week, but the day is finally here. They have a game. We're going to finally get to see, is Jordan Love going to get it together in year 3? But it'll be interesting to see how the rookies play and just how the team does.
Yeah, I'm so excited about it because I feel like this is finally going to be prime Jordan Love, really see what he can do. And he has a couple of starters with him. Like the O-line is going to be the starters, right? So,
yes.
And is Romeo Doubs playing? Do you know, actually?
No. So Matt LaFleur confirmed that it was going to be the offensive line, which is, valid because they have so many question marks there. You've got 2 of your top starters. All-pro left tackle David Bakhtiari, still no word on when he will return to the field. Elton Jenkins is still rehabbing that ACL tear against the Vikings from last November. And then, 3 of your players on that line. I mean, John Runyon has 3 years experience. Your center, Josh Myers, this is his second year. Royce Newman, this is his second year. So you've got a very, very young and inexperienced offensive line. So they are going to be playing. And then Matt LaFleur said it was going to be veteran select on who else was going to be in the game. But yes, you're going to see a lot of Romeo Doubs. It's going to be really, really interesting. The rookie has been having a great, great camp. So it'll be really cool to see him get some NFL experience. Samori Toure is going to be playing. You're not going to see, I would guess, Alan Lazard, Randall Cobb. Won't see them. You probably won't see A.J. Dillon or Aaron Jones. But, Dexter Williams was brought back. He was signed late this week. So be good to see how he's going to be doing. And it'll just be really, really intriguing to see where the rest of it shakes out. I'm also really interested to see Tariq Carpenter, one of the rookie safeties, play as well. And then you're going to get to really see Quay Walker. Now, Devontae Wyatt, who was the other first-round pick for the Packers, he was diagnosed with a concussion yesterday. So no word on if he's going to play today. I would guess he probably isn't, which is a bummer because you'd want to see how he's going to mesh in with that defensive line. But it's gonna be an interesting. It's Jordan Love versus Trey Lance.
Mm-hmm.
What more could you want?
Not much. That's an awesome summary you gave us. I really appreciate that because a couple of those personnel notes I wasn't quite up on. So really appreciate that.
Thank you. I appreciate that as well.
Dawn, you are muted, my friend.
Dawn, you're muted.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was asking, how is Matt doing? I muted because we had this big helicopter that just went over.
Oh, no worries.
Thanks for letting me know. And not letting me go through the whole show like that, just to be funny, right? Maddie, how are you doing? And with your mad dash to get here, how are the kids? What's going on?
It was crazy today. Everything was very tightly timed and I would say spaced, but not spaced at all. Because I had to go drive my daughter out to this campground, on the far edge of town, get back. It seemed like it would be fine. Planning seemed just perfectly fine. But I got there and there was like 50 release forms I had to like sign because they're doing some horseback riding tomorrow. So I was like, they gave me like it was like 5 sheets. I'm like, are you getting up to initial? Like, I think I initialed like a total of 120 places. Like, it was ridiculous. So I was just like, this is ridiculous. I got to get back doing a podcast today. So I'm here now. It's awesome. Apart from that, I'm good. You know, I mean, school starts for the kids next week, and at the university the week after that. So, you know, things are that very like exciting, just about to happen sort of phase, much like the football season is.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, very exciting time. Very exciting.
And
well,
Dawn,
super exciting.
Dawn, how are you?
Preseason's here. Oh, I am great. I'm happy. Tasha's doing pretty well. I think I told Matt yesterday she went back to the ER again. Yeah. This cat. Oh my gosh. Every week it's something.
Oh my God.
Yes.
But she's okay. She's okay. She has an eye infection now. But she's okay. It could be worse.
Anytime anyone has a cat, I'm always hearing about the most random trips to the ER because for whatever reason, cats can't not get into trouble. Like, it's always like you're sitting there and it's like that meme. I love it where it's like the cat's like, oh, you're home. And you just put a glass of water on the desk. Let me make eye contact with you as I literally just push it off.
That's what cats are like.
Yep. Yeah, she's fun, man. She's fun. She's doing well. She actually, the good news about going to the ER yesterday, I was like, hey, could you weigh her? She's put on a whole pound because she lost weight. She has a GI bleed, so she's got some serious stuff going on, but she's put on a whole pound.
That's nice.
I could tell she was gaining weight and she's eating more. So the big issue is definitely improving, at least improving. It's not resolved, but I'll take improvement, you know, and so we're happy about that.
And no, you said the good news about going to the ER. That's like, I think that sums up Dawn in one sentence right there. Like, there's a positivity while still acknowledging that like the cat issues are ongoing, and the good news.
Yeah, it's usually me in the ER, actually. I don't seem to have the ability to have a healthy pet. I mean, I've never had a healthy pet my entire life. I take that back. My first dog was an Old English sheepdog. He was fine. All like for years, but I don't know. Let's change the subject. Let's see. Oh, I had something on my mind now. It's already gone, but let's just get started getting to know
our friend
MK and also, I know what it was. Hello, everybody out there in the audience. We appreciate that you are with us, and we have a live audience as well. We've been accumulating more people watching the video, the podcast, and not just listening. So thank you, and thank you to those people who messaged me last night and said, "Where are you?" Because I forgot to post.
So sorry that I ruined everyone else's.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Everyone understood. It's just I forgot to say something like, "Oops, I changed the time." I just changed the time and got on with my night, and then Anyway, but my excuse is I was stressed out because I just got home from the ER with my cat, so I have an
valid.
Yeah. So hey, so MK. Your Twitter reads MK Burgess, and that's at MK_Burgess at WFRV Local 5. That's out of Green Bay, right?
Yes. Yep. So we're the CBS affiliate here in Green Bay.
Okay, I thought so. And hopefully I didn't say anything incorrectly in my introduction. I tried to do my homework. So we know MK as a Packers reporter, of course, and that's also with CBS Sportsnet.
Yep, CBS Sports Network. I'm an analyst for them on that other pregame show every Sunday. I do analytics for them on the Packers during the season.
Very cool, and I'm going to have some questions about that too. Sure. Because there's a big difference between anchoring and analyzing. So, and then #MIZ. I had to look that up to see what it meant. I'm intrigued.
Yep.
Always looking for a good burger. I'm going to have questions about that. Used to live in Alaska. By the way, Alaska is amazing. I spent about 4 weeks there one year. It's great.
It is my favorite place on earth.
I got my favorite thing, I think, is the whistle stop train.
Yes, very,
Isn't
very,
that amazing?
very
That's
fun.
the
Yes.
thing. It's an actual thing. And if you don't know what a whistle stop, you probably do. So I'm not trying to talk down to anybody. Basically, it's like you can just raise your hand anywhere in the wilderness in Alaska where that train is going through, and it will stop and pick you up.
Oh, wow.
So you don't have to be at an actual stop. It's a whistle stop. So you just, I guess the whistle comes from whistling. I don't know where the whistle comes
I don't remember what the whistle part of it is, but like it's a really it's now it's more of like a touristy thing, but it's really great in the villages to just get through like parts of Alaska that you can only get through like via plane. I've never been on it, but I've heard from friends who have done it that it's been really, really cool.
I highly recommend doing it. Like if you're going to go on one of those Alaskan cruises or anything like that, I'm not much into cruises, but I did do that one. I took the extra time. I went all the way up to Fairbanks and tooled around and got up to the Arctic Circle, and then I got on the whistle stop. I mean, I just took my time, and what an experience.
Yep.
Went to Denali. Yeah.
Denali is great. I loved Alaska. I loved all the experiences that I had there. I loved the community that's in that state because they're so removed from everybody. Like everyone is so inclusive and helpful of everyone up there. I loved getting to cover dog mushing. I loved getting to cover, cross country skiing. I got to cover. I mean, I was there when Keegan Randall won her gold medal for the U.S. in the Pyeongchang 2018 Olympics. So I got to cover her return with the gold medal. And that was like her last year in the Olympics. She retired after that. And then I subsequently covered her diagnosis and her beating breast cancer. That woman worked out and biked 2 miles, did a full-on workout, did chemo, and then biked home. Like she's a warrior. She's one of the coolest people I've ever met. And then I got frostbite covering the Iditarod. So that was great. Please make sure that you don't wear regular snow boots when you go out into negative.
So on your feet, you got frostbite on your feet?
Yeah, on my toes. It was great. It was super fun.
Did you recover? Are they okay?
Yeah. No. It was like mild. It was very mild. Okay. Nothing like there was no surgery or anything needed. I just got in and I was like, I don't feel like they're the right color.
Oh boy.
In any way, shape, or form. And my girlfriend Kari, who like had lived there her entire life, she was like, go stick your foot in the bath, like go go stick your foot in hot water, like literally right now. And so like now one of my toes, like when it gets cold, like it feels different than the rest of my feet. So it's just kind of odd. But the Iditarod was really, really fun just because you're out in the middle of Alaska nowhere. And like the way that I described covering the Iditarod is my news director at the time made it the best. Like it's a marathon, right? Like because you're trying to be the fastest team to get there in the least amount of time. And then like as you're like stopping to like rest your dogs or get ready and then like plan how long you're going to be there, you have reporters being like, hey, so I know that this is like time, but can you slow down and stop and tell me how you're doing? I don't know any other race where like that's allowed. And like, and that's the other thing. And then getting to know mushers where like the majority of them live in the wilderness with their dogs. Yeah. So like trying to figure out how to get people to talk to you in a way that like everyone will understand. It was really, really cool. Really, really awesome. I enjoyed it. It was the best experience I've ever had. And then just the people and the friends that I made there. Phenomenal place, phenomenal culture, phenomenal state. Everyone should go visit at least once, but they should go visit in the summer. They should go
definitely.
For like 18 hours of daylight. Now, if you love the winter and you want to go like skiing or you like only having 5 hours of daylight, then go in the winter. But that was the biggest shock is moving there in November and realizing the sun didn't come up until 10:30 in the morning and then it went down at 3:15.
So how long did you live there?
I lived there 2.5 years. So I've been in Green Bay 2.5 years. I moved to Green Bay June of 2020.
So I lived in Connecticut for 6 years. I grew up in Wisconsin. And when I think about like where I'd want to end up when my kids have grown and, left the nest, like I kind of want to go back to to New England and kind of live there. So for you, would you ever want to go back to Alaska to like live there?
So my boyfriend is from Alaska. He and I have done distance from Alaska. Now he's in Seattle. But he and I have talked about it. I think that maybe at some point, like older, if and when we have kids and like we kind of settle down and all of that, that might be a thing. But for right now, like the biggest thing that I didn't like is that it was so hard to see families and friends because it is so expensive to leave the state. And so now that I think we're both back in the lower 48, as when you live in Alaska, what you call the rest of the United States, the lower 48, and it's so much easier to like get anywhere. I don't know. I think I wouldn't mind going back, but it would be a couple years. Now, I grew up in New Jersey, so I grew up on the East Coast. My mom is born and raised Bergen County. She grew up in Westfield. I grew up in Ridgewood, New Jersey. So I grew up going to the Jersey Shore. And I would live on the East Coast, but only in Florida because I want to live. Like I am not going to live anywhere where it's going to be brutally cold ever again. So like when I say if I go back to Alaska, like I would go back because we had a summer house there and we became snowbirds and like we did summers in Alaska and then moved down here for like the winter.
Yeah.
for the relatively tame winter.
Yes, for the like if we had a house in Alaska and we were up there for the summer, and then when it got too hot in Florida, we were up there, and then when it got too cold in Alaska, we were down in Florida for like the beautiful parts of that.
There you go.
Yeah,
that's a great plan.
That's what I would do.
Did you live in Anchorage when you were there?
Yeah, I lived in Anchorage. I did not live in Fairbanks. I would have cried if I lived in Fairbanks. Fairbanks temperatures are like -25 at minimum. Green Bay is actually colder than Anchorage in the winter because it's windier. So it's actually colder here. But I loved Anchorage. It's got a population of 400,000, so it feels like a big city because so there's 750,000 people total in Alaska, and like in the entire state, but then 400,000 of them are in and around Anchorage. So it feels like a very big city, but the food scene there is amazing. It's like the best seafood I've ever had. Alaskan salmon is the best thing. You will never have anything better. Alaskan halibut, shrimp, mussels, clams, scallops, oysters. The food scene there is just otherworldly. And then the mountains, like just the sheer beauty of this is just
so pretty,
phenomenal.
Nice.
It looks like a postcard.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I miss the most about living in New England is the quality of the seafood there, because living in Cincinnati, where I do now,
you got none. I got none. There's not. I mean, I got none in Wisconsin.
Right. Well, I did. I'm glad you brought up the Iditarod. That's something I always wanted to see. At least them coming in. I don't know about standing there the whole time because it's a long race.
It is. It's a 1,000-mile race. If you want to see it, I would recommend what they do, which is cool. Is Saturday they have the ceremonial start where they truck in all the snow into downtown Anchorage, and they have all of the teams like do this cool like staggered start, and everyone lines. It's like winter Mardi Gras, and so everyone's out there. The bars are all open. It starts at 10 a.m. It's cool, and then they have the restart out in Willow, which is about an hour outside of Anchorage, and it's where the race actually begins. Going in the winter to see the start of the race is really, really fun. And then they finish in Nome, which you have to fly to. You can't drive to Nome. And it's been different. Alaska with the pandemic was way more restricted, just because they have so many villages, and the only main hospital in the entire state is in Anchorage. So they were really, viewers of the Iditarod were extremely limited the past 2 years, just because it passes through all of these villages, and with the pandemic and COVID-19, they didn't want that disease going through the villages. So I believe in 2021, they didn't have them pass through many of the villages because the villages weren't letting outsiders in because they couldn't afford to have that go through their entire community. So this year, I believe, is kind of the first or second year that it's going to be fully normal with like a real ceremonial start and all of that. But the 2 years that I was there, the ceremonial start is probably one of the coolest things I've seen. It's amazing.
Aw, I'm glad. I read a book about it years ago. I can't remember the name of the book, but it was fantastic. And I'm ever since reading that book, I was like, that's on my list to do.
It's a bucket list item.
One of these
for sure. My boyfriend was funny because like I'd be covering it, and then one year I didn't have to actually like cover it. I was just, I just had to do something in the morning, and then I was done. I was like, oh, we should go watch it. And like he's grown up there, so he was like, I haven't been to watch the ceremonial start in maybe 15 years. And I was like, what? What? I wouldn't go. So it's funny, like there's some like Native Alaskans, and like there's actually like a tribe like Native Alaskans, and then like people who have just grown up there. Some people that's just old hat to them, but I mean, I dragged him to it because I was like, I don't have to work this. Like, I just want to go. Because to me, I got invested in who was going to win and whatever. And like, even this year, like I watched it on the live stream. I was like, oh my God, like Brent Sass won. He's never won. He's coming like second or third for like 2 or 3 years. And he finally beat, and he held off Dallas Seavey. So Dallas Seavey didn't get 6 of them. And that means that he would have the most in the history of the Iditarod. Like, I'm a nut about it. I'm like as nerdy as I am the Packers. Like, I love the Iditarod. I thought it's one of the coolest races I've ever seen.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, now you've just validated all of this for me. Now I want to go again. It's been a while since I thought about it. Everywhere I went in Alaska was just mind blowing. I can't remember what town we were in. It was, oh gosh, because I was like back in 2008, I think, when I went.
Oh, okay.
And this was once we got on the ship, which was another like long trip because we did a lot of outings too. But
Did you go through Juneau?
I believe so.
Yeah,
what's the one that's more or less like all tree, like in the rainforest, like Ketchikan? Yes, I did a watercolor because when you stop at the
Ketchikan in the summer, I've never been, but I've wanted to go so many times, and like it's on my bucket list. So Sam grew up in Juneau, and I want to go back in the summer because I want to go whale watching in the kayaks. Apparently, like that's the thing to do in Juneau, and I want to go do that. And then I want to go to Sitka, and I want to go to Ketchikan. I never got to do southern Alaska. I only got to do northern Alaska because that's where the Iditarod is. But I would love to go back. In the summer, and I'm planning on it. I want to go to Juneau, and then I want to go to Ketchikan and Sitka for a trip. Southern Alaska is on my bucket list to go back and visit. But it's been a minute because I've been so busy. So
well, sure, yeah, it's hard when you're young to have time, and then when you're older, it's like okay, now it's like time or money or health or whatever.
100%.
We also popped up by helicopter on top of a glacier.
Yep,
I have some
Denali.
I have like 3,000 photographs from that.
Yep, I've done that. That's a lot of fun. That's beautiful. Although I hate getting in those planes. Those planes freak me out. The little biplane.
These were helicopters. We did.
You guys. I didn't do that.
I mean, I think they're
just a little bit out of my budget.
Oh. And then, but what I really wanted to do when I went to Fairbanks originally, and I was alone at that point, I wanted to go to Anwar. And I was like, oh, well, I can just like get on one of the charter planes. And they're like, no, you have to like reserve those a year ahead, ma'am. And I was like, no, I don't want to go to Anwar.
I'm blanking on what Anwar.
What's it stand for? Anwar is the protected wildlife area. Wildlife.
Oh, yeah.
Where the caribou run, and I wanted to see the caribou.
That's like if you want to go to Katmai, which is that bear island where all the bears are like tagged and like where Fat Bear Week happens every year.
Yes, I'm on a Facebook oh my gosh, the Fat Bear Week.
One bear has won like 4 years in a row, and he's just sitting there in the stream eating fish.
Oh.
He's living the life every year. Alaska's wild. I love it. So,
oh my gosh.
Mount Marathon is so fun. That's a 5K that's run up a mountain that changes in 3,500 feet in elevation. It's nuts.
Is that the Mount?
Mount Marathon. That's in Seward. Covered that. That's also like nuts.
I was wondering about that. They call it a marathon, but it's not really 26.
No, it's a 5K. But it's called Mount Marathon because they run it up a mountain that's called Mount Marathon. It's called Mount Marathon. And it goes from like you're running up the hill and then it changes to 3,500 feet in elevation, like radically. And like people come down and they've like fallen down the rocks. They got like cuts on their legs or whatever.
Yeah.
Like mountain running trail races is also like a thing. Like we covered that a bunch of times. The cross country skiers who are like the Nordic skiers who are on like the US World and Olympic teams, they win that every year because like that's their training for the season is they run those mountain races. And I'm
That's
just like,
right.
okay.
Yeah.
That whole state is just, it's so cool. It's so phenomenal. There's so many different things that you don't get to cover like anywhere else. And it was the best decision I ever made to go up there because it made me a better journalist. And I met so many wonderful people, lifelong friends, family. Like I will never not love Alaska. I could spend probably an hour and a half talking about Alaska.
I know. I think, and hopefully everyone there listening for Packers content.
Like, why is she talking about Alaska?
No, I think they're enjoying this. That's why we do this, because we want to get to know our reporters and content creators and our fans more as humans, because we have so much in common. It's just so funny because I'm like, I have like 20 more questions, but I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop on Alaska because, oh my gosh, it brings back some great memories. I had a great trip up there. So, but I'm glad you clarified on the Seward's Mount Marathon race.
Mount Marathon. Yep, not an actual marathon.
Right.
Okay, up a mountain.
I'm just happy to learn about the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge here today.
Thank you.
Yes, that's
why did I blank on that? Thank you.
I'm not into the acronyms. I can't stand them. I don't like using them. I'm not hip. And then my boyfriend Sam's like, your name is literally an acronym. Why not? And I'm like, this is true. They're still irritating. Oh Lord.
Well, my excuse for that one is I have hives, and so I've taken like 4 antihistamines today, so my brain's a little dull and I don't remember my acronyms today. I'm surprised I remembered ANWR, quite honestly, because it's been a while. It's been a minute. So, okay. So, well, all right. So you looking for the best burger. What's your favorite burger in Green Bay?
Oh, that's a hard one. There are so many, so if you want just a community staple that's been there for years, you need to go to Kroll's, which is right behind the stadium, Kroll's West, right behind Lambeau. They just make butter burgers. It's literally cheese, pickles, onions, and butter. And they're little burgers. They're so good. If you also want another old time community establishment, Al's Hamburgers is also delicious. Fast food, I love Culver's. I'm not going to not love Culver's. It is a chain, but it is delicious. And then Hinterland Brewing, which is right by Lambeau Field, also makes a delicious burger. They just make great food in general, and they make great beer. So I'm always, so in Alaska, the Anchorage Daily News would put out the top 10 burgers in Anchorage, and I would eat my way through that list every year. So I just pick every summer. I pick the top places in Green Bay, and Hinterland's probably got the best burger that I like. Then it would be Al's, then Kroll's, and then Republic Chop House, which is a steakhouse. They make a good burger, but that's because they chop up filet in their burger. So how would you not love that? If you're vegetarian, then nothing I just said will sound appealing to you at all. But I am not vegetarian, no disrespect to them, but literally Wisconsin is a meat and cheese state. So vegetarianism, I feel would be kind of hard here.
Yeah.
So I love a good burger. I just ate one at the Creamery downtown. They make a brunch burger, which means they put bacon and a fried egg on top of it. It was great. They have a good burger. Yeah, I will never not eat a burger.
With you on that, totally. What's the best burger you've had, and what's the best burger city that you've been in? So those could be different things.
Oh, the best burger that I've had is honestly in Alaska, and it was a yak burger.
Oh, wow.
And it was delicious. I liked all the burgers I had in Alaska because you could get a bison burger, you could get an elk burger, you could get a yak burger, salmon burger, all of the things, and just how people there cook food. Alaska is probably one of the best foodie places that I've been in, just because there are so many cultures there. It's really kind of a melting pot of people. You have a very, very large Asian population up there, so you've got a lot of Asian fusion, and you also have a lot of native tribes and things like that. So then, I got to experience there. I ate whale blubber up there. I didn't eat a burger, but I did just eat some of it. It tastes like chicken. So I enjoyed everything. The best burger I think I've probably had is in Alaska. Although I'm still holding out for the day that I go to one of Bobby Flay's restaurants and he makes me a burger. I'm sure that will top everything because that makes the god of grilling. So waiting for that day. It is on my bucket list to go to one of his restaurants. But I loved the food that I have. I do a segment during the season is whenever we go to a road game, I kind of do like a diners, drive-ins, and dives where like I pick a very famous restaurant in that area. So like for Cincinnati, we did Cincinnati chili. We didn't do Skyline, but we did a different restaurant that was like a mom and pop shop that had been there for forever.
That's the way to go. Yeah. I mean, I love Skyline. I might even have it for dinner tonight, but like the smaller ones, that's good stuff.
Yeah, we did that. I didn't do any burgers because I didn't go anywhere this year that was like known for a burger. I think probably the best food that I had is I did sourdough bread in San Francisco. And we went to Bodine Bakery, which is like where the sourdough bread was like started. Like they have the original sourdough starter like locked in a vault from like 1919. Yeah. And that's the best bread that I've ever had. And then they made me like clam chowder and I got crab there. I did crab cakes in Maryland and Baltimore when I went to the Ravens game. That was delicious. And then I think my other favorite was, I did do a burger because I went and I did Matt's Bar and I did the Juicy Lucy in Minnesota.
Oh, yes.
So that was awesome. That was a good burger. But again, I'm all about a greasy burger.
I love how much you love food. This is awesome.
I do. No, I love food. I'm not picky in any way, shape, or form. I just don't eat broccoli or cauliflower.
I don't eat apricots personally, but I'll eat broccoli and cauliflower for sure.
Broccoli and cauliflower are no go. I won't eat them.
But roasted cauliflower, have you tried that? Because that's a special different thing entirely.
No, cauliflower as a whole could literally just never touch my mouth again, and I would be a happy camper. Cauliflower is the most blah, blah, blah. No.
It's a pretty mild, but yeah, if you can, it's got that cabbagey thing going.
Yeah, I'm not into it.
Yeah.
Sure does.
Okay, so beyond Green Bay, I think Matt, you're like a burger across the United States. So we've established that anywhere you go, you're gonna have to try the burger.
Pretty much.
So this is a two-part question, and wondering if you are a Packer fan or do you feel like you must maintain fan neutrality in your work?
So I'm not a Packer fan. It is way more fun for my job if the team does well. But I don't care if they win or lose. Like, and to everyone watching is probably like horrified by that sentiment. But I don't, because I cover them regardless. So like when they laid an egg against the Saints in the season opener and lost 38-3, I'm sure everyone was like, oh my God, the season is over. And it was like, yeah, this is kind of weird. I feel like we should all be concerned, but I still have to cover them. Now, as you continue to cover a team and you get to know players more and you get to know their personalities more, then yes, I mean, because I'm a sports fan, like I guess you could kind of say you like root for them to go well, but at the end of the day, like it doesn't matter to me if they win or lose. So no, I wouldn't say that I'm a fan of the team. I don't have an NFL team. I didn't grow up having one. I was a college football girl with my family growing up. My grandfather played for the University of Florida, and my dad went to the University of Florida. So we have like grown up loving the Gators. And then I went to Mizzou for J school, for journalism school, but they are quite honestly awful at sports after joining the FCC. So I still kind of root for the Gators. I don't know. I mean, since the Packers are one of the teams that I'm like most in-depthly like attuned to, I think whenever I stop covering the team, I might root for them, but it doesn't matter. I mean, yeah, I'd like for them to do well because it means I might get to cover a Super Bowl, but it doesn't matter to me if they do well or not. I mean, because if they lose with Rodgers at the helm, then it's like, okay, So what's going on as to why? It's interesting as to like what's wrong that you guys aren't figuring it out. Like last year when they lost some games, it was like, okay, so are you guys going to fix special teams or no? So like this year, I mean, I think they should do well. It'll be interesting to see. I think there's still some moving parts that they have to figure out, but no, I wouldn't consider myself a fan of the team. And I kind of pride myself on the fact that I don't root for them. Like, I don't think I would ever be able to cover the Gators because I would be very, very upset if they lost.
So having that neutrality definitely helps. I totally get that. And I've heard other beat reporters talk about that as well. And it makes a lot of sense. I think the first time that I realized that like Bill Huber is not a Packers fan, I was like, what? How's that possible? And I was like, oh, actually, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I just don't think that you could adequately. I mean, maybe I'm sure you could, but I feel like if you had any kind of emotional connection with the team, then it would just make it harder because then you would be asking questions like focus. Like, I feel like people would be asking questions based off of like, okay, how are you doing? Because I don't know who I should start on my fantasy football team. Like, not saying that people would do that, but I mean, and I've never known anyone to do that, but I just feel like if you take the emotion out of it and you're just covering them black and white, like it makes it way easier to be like, okay, so the offensive line gave up 4 sacks and, you know, the team couldn't get in the red zone. What are you guys going to, like, Rodgers, what are you going to say to the offensive line? Like, what needs to happen in order, like, where's the disconnect coming? Or like, is the cadence off? Like, are you guys just not reading the runs right? Like, what's going on? And if you put emotion into it, then you can be like, why'd you guys suck? Like, you can't say that. So it's easier because I'm not emotionally invested in it. Right. And I'm just there to cover the team, the good, the bad, or the ugly.
Yeah. So 2 quick follow-up things from what you just said. The first is that I wanted to fit this in somewhere, which is that the questions that you ask in the press conferences are always so good. So I just want to say, really love your questions.
Thank you.
Absolutely. The second thing is you mentioned both the O-line and moving parts still on the team that we need to see how they sort out. I mean, for me, the O-line is the big one, but for you, like, what are some of the parts that you feel like just we need to see what's going on with them?
The offensive line is one of them. I mean, I think I mentioned it earlier. They have 2 of their starters out. Most of the starters who played last year were rookies, or, you know, John Runyon had only 2 years experience. Now he's got 3. And so it'll be really, really intriguing just to see how that happens. Now, Gutekunst did say in his press conference on Wednesday that he feels really, really confident about Bakhtiari and Elton Jenkins, about them being back earlier rather than later. So, you know, where that is, I don't know. Elton tore his ACL in that game on the road in November against the Vikings. And then, you know, Bach is nearing almost 2 years of, like, it's not an ACL anymore. It's something else with his knee. They've said that. So, you know, whatever goes on with that, we'll have to see. He's been doing some rehab work with the rehab group more lately. So we'll have to see with that. The wide receivers are obviously another big question mark. Losing Davante Adams is a huge thing because if you look at the production of the wide receivers, Davante was getting like 90% of the throws, and then the next person behind that was Randall Cobb and Allen Lazard. Yeah. And so you have those 2 back, but who's going to step up? Now, Rodgers is throwing his support behind Lazard. He says, you know, he trusts him. He thinks he can be wide receiver 1. And he said that he relies on Lazard and Cobb to kind of set the standard in that wide receiver room. He's also spoken really highly of Romeo Doubs, who is the most humble rookie or just most humble player I've ever seen. Like, he doesn't celebrate a touchdown. He never celebrated it in college. He doesn't celebrate it in practice. And he was the FBS leader in catches last year. The kid went to Nevada. So it'll be very interesting to see where he shakes out. The biggest question mark that I think everyone, and I'm sure he himself is disappointed, is that Christian Watson is still on PUP because he had a knee injury and he had a procedure on it right after OTAs. So we've been seeing him do some more cutting, do some more explosive work, but there's no word on when he's going to be back. You would hope that he'd be back for some preseason, but seeing as like, I haven't even seen him like do kind of full speed catches yet. I don't know. So the wide receivers are going to be a big thing for me. Rich Bisaccia looks like he's seriously whipping special teams into shape. That man is a drill sergeant. Glad for all of them. They're at least going to be the most conditioned section of that team. The defense is the one thing you're not going to have to worry about. They have been ruling training camp each and every day. Rashawn Gary is a nightmare to any quarterback that's going to go against him this season. Preston Smith looks great. You have Devondre Campbell. The secondary is absolutely nasty. You've got Jair Alexander, Rasul Douglas, Darnell Savage, Adrian Amos, Eric Stokes. So, and then you add in, I'm really excited to see the depth and the growth of Quay Walker, the inside linebacker that they drafted first out of Georgia. So in the first round out of Georgia. And then, you add in who you added on the offensive line. You have Jaron Reed to go up there with Kenny Clark. And then, Devontae Wyatt's probably not playing tonight because he's probably still in concussion protocol, but him as well. Like, that defense is nasty. It's one of the top 5 units on paper right now in the league. And so that's going to be really, really interesting because it's one of the better defenses. Like Jair, I think, said yesterday, like, this is the defense that I've been waiting on since I got here. Like, dang. So I'll be interested to see. The big things for me, question mark wise, are on offense. It's offensive line and it's wide receivers. The defense, I got no questions for them whatsoever.
The defense is an exclamation point at this.
Correct. Yeah, it's not a question mark. It's an exclamation point. It's not like, to me, it's not even who's going to step up. It's like who at this point in what game. Like there could be there's like 8 or 9 players that could wreck you.
Yeah,
I love that so much.
That's great. We don't want to hear that, right? I'm like, so excited. Okay, so having said that, you mentioned about Devontae being gone. As a sports analyst and journalist, where do you fall on the, okay, we need to replace Devontae, or maybe this is our opportunity to have the throws spread out more evenly and balanced?
I mean, they picked up Sammy Watkins, who's a veteran receiver, who is, when he's healthy, he can contribute. It's just whether or not he can stay healthy. But, they offered that money to Devontae. And, obviously he didn't want it. He wanted to go closer to home. He wanted to be in Vegas. So that's a big loss. But Matt LaFleur's skill and his scheme is so interesting that if anyone could do it without a key player like that, it would be him. Like, you look at how he uses running backs like AJ Dillon and Aaron Jones, like he spreads them out like that and makes them pass catchers. That I'm going to just be, and then they drafted Christian Watson to like help fill that hole, right? Like they drafted him to see if he was going to like be almost kind of like what Justin Jefferson was needed for in Minnesota, right? So I'm going to be intrigued to see how that all plays out. I wouldn't have been surprised if they went and got a player, but the Packers are also never ones to go out and like just drop a bunch of money on a free agent. So I'm also not surprised that they didn't go pick anybody up because they knew they were having Rodgers back. They knew they had 2 guys that he trusted in Cobb and Lazard. They went and got Sammy Watkins and hopefully he stays healthy. And he says this is the healthy he's felt in a couple seasons. Besides that weird like hamstring tweak that he freaked out about before training camp started. So it'll just be really, really interesting to see how they shake out. But am I surprised they didn't go get somebody like Julio Jones? Like, no. They're not one to like, I think that each year the market gets a little bit more, not absurd, but like absurd as in like, Lord, that's a lot of money. The Packers were already so deep in the salary cap that like with all the restructuring, like I just don't think that they would have dumped that money because they've already pushed so much money down the road.
Makes sense.
Yep,
That
it's
makes
not
sense.
the Packers way.
Nope, it's not in any way.
That's right. Anything else you want to tell us about #MIZ, the Missouri?
Mizzou was awesome. I loved it. I loved my time there. Columbia is great. The Missouri Journalism School is one of the top schools in the country. And I loved every minute of it. And it truly did prepare me for my career that I have now. The school, owns a NBC affiliate, or not owns it, but like it is part of like the journalism school. And so my classes were to actually be reporters. So we would report, like my classwork was to report for the morning show or to anchor a sportscast. I got to travel to the University of Florida and cover the Mizzou Florida game for one of my sports classes. I was the weekend sports anchor there. it was just really, really cool to get to do that. And I just appreciated every moment of it. And I loved that school, and I loved my professors. I was just texting with my professor, really, Kyle, today. I mean, I'm 10 years out of school, and I talk to him on a daily basis. The people and the professors there are just so wonderful, and you learn such real world experience that you truly are ready once you get out there. I loved it. I haven't been back just because I've been so busy, but I will. We created homecoming, so if you want to go, you should go for homecoming. It's great. It's awesome. So I will hopefully be heading back for homecoming at some point. But I loved Mizzou.
Oh, that's
Experiential
great.
learning, such an important thing. I love that as a part of your curriculum. That sounds amazing.
Oh,
That's a big deal in University of Cincinnati. Like every student has some kind of like experiential learning component they do. It's so, I hate this word, impactful. It's so impactful.
it is impactful. It's great.
Do you feel, I mean, you landed a pretty good gig. I mean, covering the Green Bay Packers, it's a legendary team. So they must have been impressed with your resume. So, and we're very impressed with the work you do. You are very beloved. It's going to be sad when you do go eventually. Everyone does kind of move on, but
Yep.
did you always want to do television, like more visual work?
Yeah.
I saw your cover photo for Twitter. You're holding a video,
The TV, yeah, my camera.
big camera.
This is all I've wanted to do since I was 11. I remember sitting in like the living room with my dad watching TV and watching, sports anchors like Linda Cohen. And then, as I got older, watching sideline reporters like Aaron Andrews, and telling my dad that that's what I want to do one day. I love sports. I love talking. My family jokes that I could make a chair talk to me. And we moved around a lot as a kid. Like, we weren't in the military. My dad just kept getting better and better jobs. So, I lived in Jersey from when I was 2 until I was 12. And then when I was 12, we moved to Houston, Texas, and we lived there until I was 16. And then we moved to St. Louis, Missouri. And then my parents moved to Tampa. And then my first job out of college was in Cape Girardeau, Missouri. And then I moved to Alaska, and now I'm here. So I've lived in a bunch of states, but I've learned, I learned how to meet people. I learned how to talk to people.
Right.
And for me, this isn't a job, because I get paid to talk about sports, and I get paid to tell the community that I live in stories, whether it's the Packers or it's a high school football or it's college. Like, I get paid to showcase what makes a community so great. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to get to know people, and I wanted to showcase all the good that goes on in the world, because sometimes the news is really depressing. And I love that my little section of a local newscast, or, hopefully a national newscast, will be the brightness in what's going on in our world.
People finding careers that don't feel like work. That's living the dream. That's my job too. I spend the day helping students, solving problems, helping my colleagues. I love it. It's good stuff.
That's great. Yeah, do what you love. I love that too, because I was curious until I looked a little bit more into your background. If you studied journalism, or specifically sports journalism, which is obviously a sports journalism for you, but but you have been trained with videography, writing, analyzing, reporting, anchoring. So what's your favorite of all those things?
I love reporting and doing being like an analyst reporter in the field. That's probably my favorite. I also really love hosting. I host a half-hour Packers show every Wednesday during the season called Green Bay Nation. So I really enjoy getting to kind of bring in other analysts, which are, a radio host, and then another beat writer who writes for the Green Bay Press Gazette here in town. And we kind of break down every week what happened with the Packers in the game before, and then looking ahead to the game coming up. So I've really loved getting to grow as a host and learning how to set people up in ways like that. And I enjoy anchoring, but I like being out there experiencing it more. So that's probably what I love doing most of all.
Yeah. Do you, with all of your traveling and working in different areas and living in different areas, what do you think about the Packers content creators, the professional sportscasters who cover content such as like the Andy Hermans and the Cheesehead TV. Is that common in other markets?
I don't know. This is more, it's more so here just because they have a following. And I love all of them. I think they all do a great job. I think that they work their butts off and they're journalists just like the rest of us because they actually put in the time and the effort to really research the team and ask thoughtful questions. Andy was on my show for 4 years. So I love him. I think he does such a great job. He's so intelligent, so smart, understands the team and the history of the team so well. He's one of the smartest people I've ever met. Cheesehead TV is really fun. Aaron Nagler and Corey Benke do a really, really good job. They're both really, really funny. Shout out to both of them. And I love kind of the branch off of that. Pack What She Said is such a good and smart and intelligent podcast. And those two women, Perry, do such a good job. And then Underage Packer is hysterical. I love Joey and Big B. They're so funny when they do their reporter imitations.
Yes.
Like Joey, like literally hung me out to dry, but spot on with some of the questions I asked, which I was like, my dude, you did not have to like roast me that badly. And like I love that the fandom here is so great because like both Rogers and LaFleur have made reference to like those things. Like they'll make reference to what they see. Like Jason Wilde, phenomenal beat writer, phenomenal radio host who's been covering them for so many years, so good at what he does. But like they made a parody of like how long he takes to ask a question, and both Rogers and LaFleur like made fun of him for it. And so it's a really fun fan base. I really, really enjoy it. I enjoy interacting with everybody on Twitter. I enjoy interacting with the fans. I enjoy seeing how much this team and this community means to everybody. And I think this is unlike anywhere else. It's like Leroy. I was just in Canton this past weekend to cover Leroy Butler's induction into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And he said it. He goes, I don't meet fans at the pick and save. I meet owners. And they're the only team in the NFL that does that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know how many other fan bases would have, you know, so many people show up for a shareholders meeting, but they're there in all their glory every year. So, and I love that, like, some of the team members, like Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon, like, bought stock. So they're, like, part owners of the team they play for. Like, it's one of the most cool and original and, like, fanatical fan bases that I've been a part of. Like, people are nuts, but I love it.
Probably true.
This is a good summary. Absolutely.
I love it. Yeah. I mean, you know, I grew up in Wisconsin. I didn't love football, but now that I do, I'm a Packer fan, even though I'm out here and on the opposite side of the country. Mm-hmm. And it's hard for me. I don't know if it's that I'm just missing it, like with the Chargers or other teams, or if it's just really unique to Wisconsin. So that's why I wanted to ask that question. I think it is unique. Yeah,
it is unique. I mean, like Philly fans are Philly fans, right? Like they love Philly, they love the Eagles, or you know, you have the Bucks, or well, now that they're good. I don't know how diehard that fan base was when they were bad for many years.
True.
You know, you have the Bucks now, and then you think of the Bears, which I feel like the Bear fandom is like toiling like the Cubs were for so many years. Like, man, I don't know what's going on with that team, but like,
it's rough.
It's rough. I just haven't met a team that has a fan base like, okay, so the Arizona game. Arizona's kind of far away from Wisconsin. And they had to like, you couldn't hear like Kyler Murray calling shots because the Packer fans there were screaming so loud. I have never met another fan base that travels so well. Like San Fran is different. That was probably one where I didn't hear them as much, but like Arizona, Baltimore, Chicago, Minnesota, Detroit. Where else did we go that was like just insane? Like, I'll be really interested to see how they turn out in London's going to be probably really, really well as well.
Mhm.
There's going to be a huge turnout for there because there's a whole UK Packer fan base
Mhm.
there. So wild about that. It's unlike anything I've ever experienced.
That's what we like to hear. That's so good to hear. Well, one last question for you, MK Burgess. And this is I'm not sure how familiar you are with our podcast, but we like to feature all the content creators, the best of, the worst of for the week, whatever. But we also like to find fans, you super fans or just fans. We've had everybody on our show, so there's always an open invitation to be on our show. And so because we like to go a little bit deeper into relationships and build relationships and positivity in our Packers Twitter community in particular and social media. And so we like to know how your relationships in your personal life help to support you to do what you do. You alluded to it a little bit. It sounds like you've had a couple of not challenges, I'm not sure what the right word is, but people that have supported you. And been patient with you.
So, my family has been my biggest support. My mom and dad have always supported me in whatever I want to do. And especially with this move, my boyfriend, Sam, has just been like the ultimate champion. Long distance is really, really hard. So the fact that he encourages me in whatever I want to do and pushes me to continue in my career, even though, it's hard maintaining a long distance relationship and making time for each other when he and I are both so busy. He's been my ultimate rock. So I appreciate him wholeheartedly. And then within the business, I've just met so many wonderful people. Stacey Dales from NFL Network is another wonderful, wonderful human being. I've met her on the road, and she's become such a great friend and a mentor. He's now the head of the journalism department in school at UMass, but my professor, Greeley Kyle, was my professor at Mizzou, now at UMass. I still talk to him, run things by him, talk to him all the time. And then even the community here in Green Bay, like at each station, there's a female sports reporter. So I love that I've got my little group of women in sports here. Nicole Menner, Cassidy Hill, Adriana Torres, Sammy Madar is a photographer for the Green Bay Press Gazette, USA Today. And I love that little community of all of us that are covering the Packers, and we're all doing our own things separately for our own companies, but we're all championing each other as well. And so it's been really, really cool. And then within, the beat writers like Ryan Wood with the Green Bay Press Gazette has been such an awesome resource, who's helped me kind of navigate the ins and outs. Rob Domofsky with ESPN. He's one of the first people that I reached out to when I moved here and kind of asked him what it was like to cover the Packers. Bill Huber, another great human. Jason Wilde, Wes Hodquist. Everyone there is just so nice and, for me, welcoming, and it's been really, really fun to get to know that community of other reporters and other members of the media, of the industry, that I've enjoyed every second of it.
Awesome. Yeah, the beat reporters are all so great. Can't say enough about them. We talk about them all the time, in fact. So absolutely.
We do, in a positive way, and it feels like that, and it's just really nice for you to share that, and it's really nice for all of us to hear about all the support you have in so many different facets of your life, and because we all need that, and that's kind of why we're here, because we love our Packers Twitter community. I don't know what else to call it, blogosphere. I don't know. There's got to be a word. We got to make
Packers Twitter is always wild. It's never wild. It's always like something is always in an uproar about something. Which like tonight it's going to be Jordan Love, and like this is the most like not chill Twitter. Like there was never an instance in the off season where it was like, okay, nothing's going on. Like someone was always talking about something. It was like, is Aaron Rodgers coming back? Oh my God, Devontae's not here. Oh, we got Sammy Watkins. Then we drafted Christian Watson. Then are we going to sign Ja to an extension? Like y'all like need to chill. Chill. Packers Twitter is the least chill fan base I've ever met, and it's hysterical.
It's fun. It's fun.
This is all true.
It's all true. Maddie, any final questions for our guest, MK?
Those are such good questions, Don, that you had prepared beforehand. MK, I am so happy to have this chance to get to know you better. I mean, coming into this, it was like, yeah, MK Burgess, like amazing reporter, great questions, cool. Now it's like, and Alaska enthusiast, food person, you know,
I
like
was,
all this
burger enthusiast. I
Literally
wasn't expecting the Alaska thing. I mean, I was going to
no,
ask about the Iditarod, but
like death, taxes, and me talking about Alaska, asking about the offensive line, and wanting to eat a cheeseburger. That's 3 things that are like corely like ingrained into my identity.
I love that. I don't think I've ever met anyone since I only had the one trip. It was a pretty extensive, in-depth trip that I went for a month, but I don't think I ever met anyone who was obsessed with Alaska like I was.
Obsessed. I didn't get to go back this year just because I was so busy, but I was telling Sam, I was like, we're taking like 2 weeks off. I want to go camp in the woods and not talk to anybody. It's going to be great.
Yeah. What about bear encounters? No, you're not worried about.
Guess what you have bear spray for?
Right.
Which like I had an experience with that. My girlfriends came up to visit. It's fine. We got hit like, I'll tell you this. It's a hysterical story. I tell everyone, and it's literally like why you have to be careful about the bears. So like in the middle of the summer, you have to be careful because like the bears are out in full force. They are done hibernating. They have their cubs. Like they're trying to eat and like gain all the weight because like unless you live on Katmai where you can like live in leisure and be on Fat Bear Week, like you got to figure how to stay warm for the winter otherwise. So my girlfriends and I, like it's my 2 best friends from college. We're coming up. They came up to visit. We're going to go on this really great hike out in Anchorage. There's Flat Top Mountain, and then there's like a mile and a half back trek to Rabbit Lake, which is like beautiful lake, mountain backdrop, awesome. But it was in August, so I was like, bears. So I made sure that I had bear spray, which is like pepper spray, but like 15 times more armed. So like, because it's supposed to like fend off a bear. So we're in the car and I didn't realize that like I guess it had fallen on the ground and I didn't realize that the safety was off. So my girlfriend went to pull her backpack off and it went off and she got sprayed in the face. I had the windows, the AC, because it was 2-3 summers ago. It was like the hottest it ever been in Alaska. We were having all these awful wildfires.
Yes.
And it was like 88 degrees. Like Alaska in the summer usually maybe gets to 70 like 3 or 4 days out of the year, and usually it sits like right around 65. It's great. You can wear a jacket at night. It's awesome. And so she gets hit in the face and I like feel it. It gets all in my hair and she immediately is like tears streaming down her face, like whatever. And I realized what happened. I threw all of us in the car. I like roared down the mountain. We get to a gas station. I walk in and I said, she got hit in the face with bear spray. And the gas attendant goes, go get the gallons of milk. And we were like we were in the bathroom of this gas station, just pouring milk over her head for like 20 minutes. So like now every time anyone's like, oh my God, like something happened. This was so painful. She's like, unless you've been sprayed in the face with bear spray, no one can talk to me about what's painful.
That's right.
In any way, shape, or form. So yes, no to bears. Make sure you have bear spray. Just make sure, the safety's on.
Right.
Good thing to have. And then the other thing is like, I always have bells on my backpack because if they can hear you, bears are way more scared of you than they are, whether or not you surprise them. But I mean, I didn't have to because I was news, but there were a couple bear attacks while I lived there, which was always like horrifically.
There always are, right? Every year, yeah.
And so I always was like, just no, I'm not going to scare bears in any way, shape, or form. Like, and the funniest part of it is like my sisters came up to visit and we were reading like how you're supposed to stay away from bears. Like if it's a brown bear, you're supposed to play dead. And if it's a black bear, you're supposed to fight it. And I remember my sister Annie goes, what do you mean fight it? I'm supposed to get like fisticuffs with a black bear? Like, I'm not going to fight a bear. I'm already at a disadvantage. It's a bear. So it's like, Alaska's wild because bears will run off if you give them more of a thing. I'm more worried about getting trampled by a moose because a moose doesn't a moose will stomp on you. And I remember my news director at one point, and like I'll end on this, is my news director was like, so if you're snowed in, like that's not really an excuse as to why you can't get to work. Like everyone has snow, everyone has the same amount of snow, everyone should be used to it, like figure it out. But like if there's a moose just like chilling in your driveway, yeah, I'm okay with you being late for that. Like,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. They're big animals. Yeah. I've had some experience with all of the above in different areas. They're just gotten way too close. But the thing about bear is you can smell them at least. You can smell them.
Kind of. I mean, not really. I mean,
Not always. Okay.
I always like was just very cautious, and I like played music, and then I'm just loud. So like,
Right.
I'm never worried about a bear not hearing me. So I had that.
Yeah.
I was never worried about a bear like being surprised that I was in the area.
That's good. Well, MK, thanks again for spending some time with us. We know you're not going to be staying on for our superlatives. And that's just fine. We have really enjoyed, and I hope everyone listening in has enjoyed getting to know you a little bit better. It's been an absolute delight. We're so glad you're covering the Packers in Green Bay for us. And are you going to London? Are you going to be at the game?
Don't know if we're going to London. That is still in the works, but I will at this point be in Minnie, and I'll be in Tampa.
Okay. Nice. Okay. So you don't necessarily go to all the games.
We usually do. It's just we do it month by month. So right now I have the first month booked, and then we'll evaluate as it goes on. So no word on the rest of the season. We should be going to roughly all of them, but I would have to say if we had to pick one we wouldn't go to, like London might be it. That's a little bit.
Yeah, that's a lot, really. That's a lot for everyone. So well, our community is stronger when we are able to connect with each other, and I think you've done a lot to help us with that and to build our community today. So again, we appreciate you. We're glad you're here. I'm sure those who are listening and watching are super happy to know you. And we do know you have to run to another engagement. So any final thoughts before we say goodbye?
No, thank you guys so much. It was a blast. I enjoyed talking with y'all. Thank you guys for letting me ramble about Alaska and sheep. Awesome. And if you would like more of that, I do most of that on Twitter.
Okay. I am going to hit you up with I need some recommendations for a little project I'm doing. So I'm going to keep that on the side, and it's for this show, but I'm like, I think she might be a good person to ask for this. I need a little to be pointed in the right direction for some material. So for the our next season coming up, we're almost on our second season. Wow. 2 more shows. Yeah, we're so excited. So today's 49, right, Maddie? I think we've had technically 52 shows, but full episodes, though. Episodes, right? So, all right, MK, we'll enjoy the game. We can't wait to hear what you say about it on Twitter. I can't wait to see it.
It'll be good. I'm excited to tune in and see how it all pans out.
Yeah.
All right.
And
thanks,
of course,
MK.
It's preseason, so I'm excited, but I'm not going to lose my mind over it.
Don't. Yeah. There's it's preseason. I wouldn't worry about it, guys. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Oh, that was awesome. Maddie, that was so great.
I didn't know we were going to talk about Alaska.
It's so awesome.
I want to go back. And this is the time to go, like middle of August. One of the things when I've been to traveling to areas like that in the summer, where the days are longer in the summer and shorter in the winter than what we're used to, I have a very hard time going to sleep. Like when I traveled to Alaska or Finland, I couldn't sleep, even though I would be up for 24 hours. It's just like, well, what else can I do? It's still daytime. So it's pretty fun. So I think that adds to the excitement of traveling to those areas in the summer too. So, So Maddie, do you think we have time for superlatives, or should we wait?
I can do two quick ones. I got two quick ones actually. So, just real fast then. My first one was most helpful. So this goes to Ryan Schlipp, who we'll have to have on the show at some point.
Yes, please.
So the thing that I like about what he's doing right now with all the preseason stuff is like each of the beat reporters, like does the tweets during the practice. So it's kind of like the raw materials being put out there. And then a lot of them will do like some sort of like summation of it, whether it's like a video like Andy Herman does, or like an article that Matt Schneidman might write for The Athletic for that day, recapping what happened. Actually, Matt's tend to be like, here's what happened in the last couple of days. And he like brings like really nice summaries, kind of brings it together. But for each of these, and this isn't a criticism, but for each of these like individual reporters, you're hearing like their perspective, their way, their lens of seeing things.
Mhm.
So what I like what Ryan does is like he's not at the practices. I don't think he'd want to go to one. He doesn't like being around groups of people, from what I understand. So
Mhm.
what he does is he like takes that same raw material, like the tweets that the reporters are putting out there, and kind of like talks through them. And so you get this like sense of, you know, this lens on it, this lens on it, this lens on it. Like what can we draw from that? Like what
Mhm.
can we learn from hearing the different perspectives?
Mhm.
And I really value that because you know you're getting
Right.
kind of that you know more of the breadth of what's happening from what the reporters are saying about the camps. So definitely most
Cool.
helpful going to Ryan this week. It was
I
I feel
like
good
it.
really.
Thank you, Ryan.
And my other one, real quickly, then, is best new article or maybe best new series, I suppose. This is going out to my man Dan Kotnick with his CheeseCon threat assessment that he's doing weekly now. So this is for Game on Wisconsin, of course,
Mhm.
and this is an article he writes talking about how much should we be like worried about the team we're playing this week. And you know, of course, it's a little analysis, of course, but it's also really funny because he's a really good writer. He's a very, very funny guy, and have been enjoying that so far. I think he's had 2 or maybe 3 out by now. I'm trying to remember if it was 2 or 3, but yeah, no, those are spectacular. And so, you know, last season, if you remember, he was doing a series. I think it was called The Leap, if I remember correctly. That was also very funny, a really good time. So he's picked up like a slightly different theme. But just to have a weekly article by Dan coming out is something that I'm really happy is happening now. I wasn't sure if he'd be doing that because he has a new baby still, you know, wasn't
Right.
sure. So
Yeah.
getting that regular, you know, dose of Dan's writing, very much appreciated, very much enjoying that.
Yay, Dan. Yeah, I think when he was on our show a few weeks ago, he did mention that he was going to get back into that writing. So, yay. Can't wait for us to read it. Of course, everyone who's listening, you can check the show notes and grab those links for both of those superlatives. I'm going to stick with 2. I
Okay.
have 3, but I'm going to just save one for next week. So
Sounds
you
good.
got to hold on and see what it is. um, we're going to be entering starting Tuesday the cut down period, which is
Ooh.
yeah, the saddest time. That's my superlative. Saddest time of the season. It starts Tuesday. We're going from 90 to 85. But before we get too upset about that, we're going to enjoy tonight's game.
That's right.
And I want to mention a couple things, and it leads into my next superlative, so it's somewhat thematic tonight.
Mhm.
And I wanted to mention Kobe Jones, who's an outside linebacker, and Jack Coco, who's a long snapper.
Mhm.
Last man standing, actually, in that position. We're hoping Coco does it. They made the 90 at least so far. They're still on the team, and from open tryouts. And open tryouts is kind of the last chance, you know, after the draft, after, you know, the trades, after this and that. There's a few people, maybe I think 15 this year, who get invited to, you know, and sometimes some local athletes who get invited to try out for the Packers. Well, 2 of them are actually on the 90.
That's pretty
So,
cool.
yeah, good luck to those 2. They're coming from behind, in other words.
Yeah.
So gotta love an underdog. So Kobe Jones, let's see what happens with Kobe and Jack Coco this coming week and tonight. Actually, we probably will see them play tonight. And that kind of leads me to another superlative. It's kind of fraternizing with the enemy, but not really. I'm calling it the oldest but goodest superlative. And this is the Vince Papale story that I kind of ran across on YouTube. And it's a documentary, it's a movie, I think, that was made about this player, Vince Papale, who was it was the Philadelphia Eagles. I almost forgot what team it was just now because I didn't write any notes here. Vince Papale made the team on open tryouts, and he ended up being kind of the Philadelphia Eagles Rocky Balboa kind of figure. And I'm just going to mention it real briefly. There's a link so you can take a look at least the YouTube version of that Disney movie, but it's really a charming story. And so those 2 tie in together because we're talking about tryouts. Philadelphia Eagles were doing really poorly. The fans hated them. They were like really mad and angry, and they kind of pulled one out of the hat and said, hey, okay, if you guys think it's so easy, we're going to open up to the community. Why don't you all, you know, beer drinking guys try out for the team? Well, Vince Papale made the team, and he was a little bit of a hot shot because he didn't really understand everything, but he ended up being a star of a team and beloved in to this day, beloved in the Philadelphia community. Yeah. So it's a great story. So maybe Jack Coco and Kobe Jones want to see that little mini movie on YouTube and get inspired, because you never know what could happen from open tryouts.
That's right.
Good
That's
luck
cool.
to everyone. Yeah, good luck to everyone on Tuesday, because we won't be back until Thursday. Good luck to everyone who's trying to make our team in tonight.
Yeah.
So how excited are you? We're here. We're having our first game, Maddie.
I know, I'm very excited. Of course, as somebody who follows all of the training camp stuff and cares a lot about roster churn, and last year, remember, I compiled different people's like 53-man roster predictions. Like, though there's the sad aspect of like people who are going to be cut, like this is just such an exciting time, and so to like see the actual parts moving, tonight with the people. I mean, like the people who are not playing tonight, like they're making the team. Like that's not a question.
Right.
Cool. That's not what this is for. It's to see like what everyone else can do. So like, I find this very fascinating time of the cycle for sure.
Yeah, it is. Well, any final thoughts before we take off tonight and go watch the game? What are you drinking? What are you eating? It sounds like you might get Skyline tonight.
I don't know. It's up in the air. Definitely I have to go like feed my family in like a minute here, but like it might be Skyline with my older kid at this camping thing. We told the younger kid she could choose what we have, and there's a solid chance she'll say Skyline. So
nice.
Could happen.
Nice.
Drinking, I actually usually drink water during games. Kind of weird that way, I guess. But if I grab a beer, I do still have a couple of Spotted Cows left in there from when one of my work friends had to take a trip up to Wisconsin, so they brought some back for me. So I have a couple left. So that might happen. But
what about your pumpkin? Did you find some pumpkin beer to drink?
Oh, there was the one that Dusty said was a good one. I think that is at the local place, but I didn't get a chance to stop today because all of the driving the kid to the camp and everything like that. So no, it's definitely on my radar to pick some of that stuff up. I think it was like Schlafly or something like that. Pick that up this weekend for sure.
Nice.
But to kind of wrap it up here, Dawn, just again, it was so great talking to MK. So glad you could join us. And next week we have another very exciting guest. I super looking forward to this. It's going to be the frequently mentioned on this show, John Meerdink will be joining us. And so very looking forward to that. But apart from that, friends, make sure you are following MK Burgess on Twitter. That is MK_Burgess. And of course, you'll find links in our show description for everyone we mentioned. So please check it out. And whether you're a super fan or content creator, we'd love to have a chance to interview you. So if you're a subscriber, our DMs are open at Hey Willip and on all the social platforms. We'd love to hear from you or someone you'd like to nominate to be a guest on our podcast this year. And folks, when you subscribe to our podcast, you help us keep spreading the love in our community. And the best way to help this podcast grow is by sharing it with your friends and family.
That's right, Maddie. We do this because we love you. We're fans of you. And we also have the luxury of being fans of the most storied team in the NFL. We do appreciate your support and subscriptions and sharing our pod. And we look forward to seeing you next week on
Hey, we like your pod.
Football in general comes down to discipline and people owning their roles. And when you aren't disciplined or you go outside the scheme, bad stuff happens.